All right, hello. So today, what I want to talk about is from the pit to the palace, and this kind of being to be the theme moving forward. It's the ultimate entrepreneur's dilemma. It's the dilemma that I've had, that I have, that I continue to overcome, that I think all of us will always kind of overcome and strive to get out of the pit and into the palace. And there's a lot of things that really hold us back and keep us in the pit. And the palace is what we all strive for, right? It's the dream, right? It's the promise land. It's the fulfilling that spark within us that leads us to do things we want to do, the desires we want to fulfill, to create what we want to create. And that is what most entrepreneurs don't fail because they're lazy. I know I sure as heck am not lazy. But the setbacks that I've had, the setbacks I watched my parents have, the setbacks I watched so many different businesses have, they I won't say they fail because they're doing, but they're not achieving what they want to because they're trying to carry or get to the palace um, with a pit mentality. They're trying to achieve their dreams, but not expanding their horizons. And I know that's the same for me. I mean, if you're like me, you had a dream. And that's what this program is based on. It's based on Joseph had a dream, right? Long before he had the palace. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about in Genesis chapter 37 to the end of Genesis chapter 50. It's about Joseph. It's about Joseph, and you probably heard Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. There's a play based on it, and Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors. And we're going to dive into this because it really resonates with me, and I think it's going to resonate with you. So Joseph had a dream, right? He has 11 brothers. That's the 12 tribes of Israel, right? He's Joseph. He has 11 brothers. And he is one of the children with a particular wife, Rachel, that his father, Jacob, who they changed his name to Israel. Jacob had a few wives, and he had his favorite wife, he had Joseph. And so Joseph was his favorite. So there was jealousy amongst the brothers. And Joseph was the youngest. And he had a dream. And he shared that dream. And that dream threatened the family. It threatened the brothers. They didn't appreciate the fact that he had a dream. But what they really didn't appreciate is that his dream was that they would bow down to him. And if you read it, he doesn't say that they're going to bow down to him in an egotistical way, or whatever. He just says he had a dream. And so this sets the course of the challenge of the story, and it goes from there. And so when we talk about moving from the pit to the palace, it means that the palace is our dreams, whatever your dream is. Let me give you a little story about the pit to the palace. So my mom and dad, they started a business, and they wanted to go to the palace, right? They had these dreams. Now, they were not lofty dreams. Now, their dreams were not aligned. My dad had different dreams than my mom, but they had dreams nonetheless. And we had come from not too many years before, maybe 2 or 3 years before, where we were living in a bus. They were hippies. We lived in this bus. We got water from the cow trough, filled up buckets. We had an outhouse. We didn't have indoor plumbing. And life was rough. And so they finally got into business, had a dream. And my mom's dream was simply to have a cabin by the lake. That was pretty much it. And watching the change over the years from about the age of about 12 to the age of about 18, there was this business. And I would wake up in the morning and mom was gone, but she wasn't even home yet from work when I went to bed. And sometimes I went to bed at 12, 1, even 2 in the morning sometimes. And I'd wake up at 7 or 8 in the morning. She was already had been home, slept, up, and gone because she was just carrying this weight upon her shoulders of this business. And she lacked some things. She was in the pit. She couldn't get out of the pit. And what she lacked is what most entrepreneurs lack. It's what I lacked. It's because we have this dream, and we're usually creative type people. We like to create. We like to we like to create things. In our wedding vows, my wife said, "I will support you on all the different logos you show me." She actually said that, right? Because I'm getting these ideas, these logos, these images, these things, and we like to be in creative zone, right? And if we had our way, we would just have people in front of us, and we would just teach, inspire, motivate, uplift, enlighten, take them and show them what's possible. But we are all stuck in the weeds. We start a business and we need customers. We can't just simply have all these people to speak to. I mean, that would be ideal. That would be that's the dream. That's the palace. But there's all these things that get in our way, and because of who we are, because we're creative, we lack focus in many ways. And that's just an entrepreneur, right there, And the other thing is what we lack is sometimes we're just technicians. And if you read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he talks about the 3 types of people, right? There's the technician, there's the manager, and there's the entrepreneur. And when we start our business, we are all one of the 3. Very, very rarely are we all 3. And depending on the business we're in, we need to be one more than the other. So let me give you an example. If we start, I start a plumbing business and I'm a plumber, then I'm in technician mode. Yeah, I'll maybe put an ad on a flyer. I'll put up some banners. Maybe I'll even try a Facebook ad or what have you, but I'm not a businessman, right? I have a family member that started a business. He's not a businessman. He just wants freedom from the job he has, asking to take time off to go to a dance recital, losing money to or paid and not, if he does that, he has this dream of being in the promised land. He has a dream of just looking after his family and being free and not having to ask to go to the bathroom for 15 minutes or whatever, right? And so, but he's a technician. And so he's good at doing the job he's going to do. But he also needs to be a manager. He needs to put systems in place, right? He needs to put SOPs in place. He needs to have a process from someone finds him to someone pays him, right? And everything in between there. And when we don't have that, we stay in the pit. And the third piece is the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur is the visionary, right? And you might have a vision, but it's the visionary. It's being able to sell it. It's being able to get people. It's being able to draw people in. It's the entrepreneur. And so we need all 3. And so that's what this is about. This is about the pit to the palace, and it's about helping ourselves get out of our own way. Helping ourselves stop self-sabotaging ourselves to help us achieve our dreams of getting to the palace. And this is not intentional. I mean, when I started my business, I literally thought I was just going to, post a few emails, post a few ads, have people interested, and just train, teach, inspire, enlighten, show them what's possible within the training and field I was focused on. which was the cleaning industry, and focused on particularly showing them that it's not about cleaning, it's about indoor air quality, health and safety, regulatory compliance, and being able to differentiate themselves and all these things. But you need an audience. And you don't just get an audience tomorrow. You have to have a system in place that just wash, rinses, repeats. Wash, rinses, repeats. And so that's what this is about. And so when I talk about the challenge, I talked about Mom, I talk about me. These are real challenges. My family had those struggles. My mom ended up losing everything. And not only did she lose everything, and she ended up losing her health. Right? And then the family went bankrupt, and they moved away and hid in a cabin. I stayed back, and I went out into the great unknown, into the world, 18 with no education. I had dropped out. I had no skills. I had no insights. I had no real lessons, and everything I had to learn on my own through hard work and drag myself out. And I had their support. I had their love. So I wasn't alone. I still had a foundation of support and someone to talk to and love. It wasn't like I was, abandoned. But I left. And so one of the challenges that many of us have when we start a business is when some worse than others, I'm one of the worst, is losing focus, right? And they say focus stands for focus on one course of action till successful, right? And it's so true. But what happens is I should write a book. Oh, I should do this. Oh, I got another course in me. I got another this in me. And okay, no one's resonating with this course. It's got to be this course. And the fact is that the first course would probably be absolutely fantastic, and probably is absolutely fantastic. And when I meet with coaches and consultants and I see what they've created these frameworks and these systems and these acronyms, and they are awesome. I mean, they are awesome. These people have thought about them and put a lot of time, blood, sweat, toil, and tears into it, as I have. I've got so many different frameworks and thoughts that I've created, but they don't get you anywhere. So we got to pick one. And we have to have one dream. Now, we can have things that support that dream, but one dream. We want to get out of the pit to the palace. What's our message? What are we going to tell the world? What are we going to sell to the world? How are we going to enlighten the world, expand their mind? How are we going to change them? What is that one message? And that's the thing we need to do, is then have a system that supports that message, that delivers that product or service, and then wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And that is the challenge. And I'm not there yet. But I've left, right? I haven't hit the destination, but I've left the building. And a lot of you have too. And so this is about changing our lives, getting out of the pit and hitting our destiny. And we all have a destiny. We all have a dream inside us, right? Have you ever read the book, The Alchemist? It's his personal legend, right? What's his personal legend? What's his personal, where does he want to be? What's the message? What is it? And so that's where we are, right? We have a dream. Joseph had a dream. But Joseph took him over 13 years to get that dream. And so if you don't know the story of Joseph, he had the dream. He shared the dream with his brothers, and that you're going to bow down to me. And he had this dream to, something was going to happen. And his brothers were jealous, and they sought to kill him. And they were going to kill him, but one of the brothers talked them out of it and said, let's throw him into a pit. So they threw him into the pit. And then they saw some travelers coming, and they sold him into slavery. They sold their own brother into slavery. and ripped his coat off his body that his father had given him. His father, Jacob, Israel, had given him a coat of many colors. Now, there's not too much description about that coat. Was it a coat of like a rainbow-looking coat? A coat of many colors? Who knows? But it was a nice-looking coat that gave him an identity and helped him feel that he had a destiny. Right? So he had his coat of many colors. He had a dream. He was going to be somebody, so much so that his family was going to bow down to him, and he got sold into slavery. But Joseph loved the Lord and did well, and he did things well that when he went into slavery, it was very quickly recognized that he was good at what he did. Not only was he strong, but he was also handsome. And so he was very good at what he did. And so he found favor amongst the slave owner, the Egyptian. He was a knight, I believe, like in management, basically. And he left Joseph in charge of the whole house. And he let Joseph have the whole house to himself. And the one thing that the man probably didn't want Joseph to have, and which came to Joseph, was Joseph's wife. The slave owner's wife. And she threw herself at Joseph, and he refused her. And she kept throwing herself at him because he was young, strong, and handsome. And he refused her. And so she grabs his coat, trying to get him to come in and snuggle and kiss or whatever. And he runs away, and she gets his clothes, not the coat of many colors, but gets his clothes, and then yells rape. And so he gets thrown into prison. And there he's in prison. And he finds favor amongst the prison guards because he's favored of the Lord. He does things well. He's obviously handsome and strong and does things well. He obviously puts things in order. Now, it doesn't go into descriptions, but he obviously has systems that he sets up because he runs the slave owner's home. He then helps the jailers with everything. And two people come in, a baker and a server from Pharaoh, and they both have dreams, and Joseph interprets those dreams because he interpreted his dream. And long story short, they both come true. One gets brought into Pharaoh, the other gets beheaded. 2 years later, the Pharaoh has a dream, and he's not sure about the dream and what it means. And he brings all the sorcerers in and all the magicians and stuff, and they tell him they can't figure out what the dream means. And the butler was there and said, I was in prison 2 years ago, and I met a guy that interpreted our dreams, and he was right on both accounts. And so Pharaoh brings him in, and Joseph interprets the dream. And what he says is, you're going to have 7 years of lavishness, of great abundance, of great harvests and lots of wheat and everything. But then you're going to have 7 years of famine. And so Pharaoh knows that this is true, that resonates him. He knows the dream is true. And he puts Joseph second in command in Egypt, just under Pharaoh. And Joseph can do everything he wants. He can go anywhere he wants. And he's a Hebrew, and Hebrews do not mix with the Egyptians. So Joseph has a great, successful life. But he puts him in charge of everything. And Joseph puts systems in place. And so they reap the harvest of the 7 years and then have a storehouse of food in abundance for when the famine comes. And when the famine comes, his 11 brothers come to Egypt to buy food because they're hungry. They need food. They have nuts and things like this, but that. And they don't recognize Joseph, and Joseph toils with them for a while. But at the end of it, he lets them know it's him. They have been bowing down to him, not knowing it's him. The dream came true. Joseph has no animosity. He then reunites with his father, and he is given permission by Pharaoh to move his family into Egypt and anywhere they want, and they stay in a land of awesomeness. And Joseph has two sons, and they were blessed by Jacob, and they go on, and they're Ephraim and Manasseh. And there's lots of different philosophies about who those two tribes are, what became of them. But the point of today is talking about the pit to the palace, right? And what got Joseph out of the pit into jail, and out of jail into the palace, even though he was sold into slavery and accused of rape and all these things, and saw people being beheaded. And what was it? Well, he had favoritism from the Lord, but it doesn't go into it. But clearly, he runs things very well. He has systems, and so from our management point of view, we need to put on three hats. We need to put on our technician hat, meaning if you're a plumber, you better be a darn good plumber, right? Or you're just to get you in the game. But that's what you love to do. You're the plumber. You're the counselor. You're the speaker. You're the hockey player. You're the baker. You're the cook. You're the chef. That's what you do. That's what you love. That's what you know. That's your identity. And that's what you want to focus on. That's all you want to do every day because you're good at it and that. But you need to have systems in place in order to be able to deliver. And that aligns perfectly well with the rich dad, poor dad quadrant of moving from the left side, which is self-employed. If you imagine like a T, like a T across, and on one side, on this side is self-employed. On this side is small business. So self-employed, you have a job. Self-employed, you own a job, right? And so many of us coaches, consultants, chiropractors, whatever, we own a job. And the idea is to get up into the other quadrant on this side, on the rich dad quadrant, and you own a system. And in the money you make from this, you own the system, you invest it. So you go from the small business, from the self-employed to the small business, from small business to business, which is running systems, from systems to invest. And so we have to have those systems in place. And then once you have those systems in place, you deliver on the product. You're a plumber, whatever. You have a system in place to get your leads. You are able to deliver on that promise and fulfill and exchange value. So the next part is the entrepreneur, which is to build the business, create awareness, let people know who you are, be the entrepreneur, share the vision, show the vision, create the vision, build the team, implement the system. Let the team execute so you no longer have to plumb. You're the entrepreneur and you're managing the system. And then eventually you get a manager. The manager, that's the goal. That's the dream. That's what my mom never did. And that's not the lessons. And I'm not going to make that same mistake. And so the pit is chaos. It's inconsistency. It's overwhelm. It's no systems. It's being invisible. It's always being in survival mode. It's doing everything yourself. And it's having a dream bigger than your infrastructure. You can't build $1 million business with a $10,000 structure, right? Like you can't. It won't hold the weight. So you have to build $1 million structure when you're at 500,000. So it's going to hold the weight. When you get to $1 million, you're going to have to expand the system, but it's going to support the weight. So that's the pit. But what we need to do in order to do that, to go from the pit to the palace, is a transformation, right? So the pit equals obscurity for us. It equals not knowing, right? Potiphar, who is the name of the slave owner, was Potiphar, right? So obviously Joseph was learning and learned things in the home and learned systems and organization and stuff like that, because he got promoted and ran the whole house and did everything. He was allowed to do everything. He wasn't really a slave. He was a slave, but he was free within those confines, right? And he goes to prison, and that's preparation for that nobody sees, right? It's the learning ground. It's watching the videos, it's reading the books, it's implementing the systems, it's watching it break down, it's fixing it, right. That is building the system. Now the good news is, in today's day and age, you don't have to do that. There are systems already done, and that's the value that we bring. And of course, the palace is the influence and the stewardship, right? And so right, we got the pit, we got Potiphar's house, we got the prison, we got the palace. That's kind of the roadmap. You're in the pit, you got to get out of the pit into putting in a system. You grow that system. Nobody sees that. They'll say in a year from now, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, you're overnight success. Yeah, overnight success. Well, I went from town to town to town to town. All right, sleeping in my car, playing my music, writing my music, composing it, putting it together, all these things. Then I became an overnight success. Or acting, right? I went from crappy job to crappy job to doing jobs for no pay, being stand-ins, being all these things, and then I got my overnight success, right? Like it's never an overnight success, but it appears to be an overnight success. That's what people see. And so the palace arrived when Joseph became capable of stewarding it, of being able to manage it, right? Had he shared that dream with Pharaoh, if he wasn't capable of running the kingdom, Egypt, and doing everything, he clearly wouldn't have. Pharaoh would have taken it away from him. But he was. Right? And so the thing to remember here is that more leads won't fix chaos. It just won't. You'll get more leads and you'll drop those leads. You'll get more leads and you won't resonate with them. You'll get more leads and it just won't happen. And more money won't fix disorder. My goodness, can I tell you about that? More money will not fix disorder. Putting a Band-Aid on a huge wound is not going to help. You need stitches, right? So money won't fix disorder, and more followers won't fix broken systems. You can only do so much before you burn out and fade away. And so what we all need is we need infrastructure, we need automations, we need nurture, we need visibility, we need support, we need systems behind the dream. My first job ever was at Wendy's, and I did many tasks, but the main task I did was at the grill. And I never fully understood it till I got older why. I just did it. And so Wendy's prides himself on fresh, never frozen patties, right? And you saw the never frozen patties in the back. And so they need to be efficient. And Wendy's went from 0 to 3,000 franchises in 10 years. And Dave Thomas had 3 Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises and then started Wendy's. And what's unique about Wendy's is that they're the only place that I know that's fast food that does 2 things. Number one, when you go through Wendy's late at night, not lunchtime and not at dinner, because everyone has food ready at those times because those are busy times. But late at night, as an example, you're usually almost always going to get a very fresh burger that tastes just like it would be at any time of the day, even if it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. It's going to be fast. It's going to be fresh. Why? Unless you ordered 10 burgers and they had to start cooking more, why Wendy's over other places where their burgers are warm and obviously been under a lamp for hours and what have you? Because Wendy's has a system that they go left to right. They go the patties down. They're on for about, I can't remember what it is. Let's say 30 seconds. They flip it, 30 seconds. They flip it. 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 And somewhere between, I can't remember, let's say 3 to 5 minutes, the burger now gets from raw to cooked, and it starts to become well done. And the reason why you get a lousy burger late at night in most places is because they don't want to waste that food. So they give you a subpar sandwich at that time at night. Not Wendy's. Why? Because Wendy's doesn't worry about that meat getting overcooked and unservable in the form of a burger. They have a solution for that. So they don't lose money, they make money. They make money by making that burger chili. And so therefore, that's why Wendy's has chili meat. Why they have chili. And so I never fully understood it. I just know that that's what happened, and it went and became chili. But that's why. Because they have a system, and the system allows them to have a competitive advantage and then serve chili, which is, not normal for a burger place. I don't think there's another burger place I can think of that serves chili. Maybe there is, but you get the point. So that's what we do. That's what this is about. That's what Pit to the Palace every week is about. It's about learning the systems, learning the things to be ready for the palace. You have to be ready for the palace to be able to enter the palace. Because if you just get thrown into the palace, you're going to fail and get the palace taken away. Had Joseph not had the systems, the intellect, and what have you to have the systems in place to get all the food, the wheat, and all that stuff, to store it, to save it, and to have it for when the famine came. So 7 years of harvest and 7 years of famine. That means he had 7 years to have to keep food, preserve it, bulk it, get it together, farm it, what have you, and then store it appropriately, and then distribute it and sell it during the famine, right? So it was a business. He ran the business for Egypt, for the Pharaoh. So if you found this of value today, then I want to help you start getting out of the pit. And the first way you can do that is by recognizing that all the efforts you do in most businesses here is geared towards driving someone to your website. And 97% of websites, of people that visit a website, never contact the owner or never contact the business. So I'd like to offer you a free interactive booking agent chatbot. Click the link below, register. We'll meet with you. We'll ask you some questions. We'll get your bot set up. We'll meet with you, and we will implement it and put it on your website. It will capture leads, and it will ask to book meetings. It's free, and it's for those that want to take the first step to moving from the pit, which is overwhelm, which is just chaos, which is frustration, and start moving to the palace, which is the promised land, right? So 360 was built for entrepreneurs who are called to create, teach, inspire, and lead, but are trapped spending as much as 90% of their time buried in technology and marketing chaos. So hope you found this of value. I will have it will be a regular weekly session, and I hope you found it of value. Please like, subscribe, and share. And until next week, I will see you in the next episode.